So you want to run a sub 2 hour half marathon. That means holding a pace of about 909 minute per mile for 13.1 miles. It's a big milestone for many runners, but with the right strategy, it's absolutely within reach. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to train for it from speed work, strength training, and to fueling, body comp, and the four key phases of half marathon training cycle. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Ray Peralta. I'm a physical therapist and run coach, and I've been helping runners improve their performance, get rid of injury, and just overall have longevity in the sport. So, the first thing you got to break down if you're trying to get faster and trying to tackle the goal of a sub 2 hour half marathon is what is your fitness at? And your fitness also includes your body composition. So, let's start with some truths. Many beginner runners are simply out of shape and often overweight. In 2023, over 70 million US adults were classified as obese. While BMI isn't perfect, it's a good enough tool, right? You could plug in your height and weight and see where you're at. Now, body fat's going to be a better metric because you're going to be more accurate. See what percentage of your body's actually body fat percentage. There's tools you could use to measure your body fat percentage. But if you don't have access to those tools, right, you're just like, oh, you may know your height and weight. You go to online BMI calculator, plug in your height and weight, you'll see where you're at. If it's over 30 BMI, that's considered obese, right? You want to get to a leaner height weight scale. Now, if you're very lean, right, you could see your six pack, you're shredded. Chances are you probably are lean body fat. But to get more accurate, you're gonna have to get a body fat percentage test, right? Either to get a scale that measures your body fat percentage, do the skin fold calipers. There's different many tools out there. Work with a trainer to get that body fat percentage measured, and you'll get a more accurate reading. For leanness, for athletes, for male athletes, is about 15% or lower. Like think about like 10% body fat for a man, and then for women, it's about 15 to 20% body fat leanness for an athletic woman. And for endurance performance, a lower body fat percentage improves efficiency, right? You're just carrying less dead weight on you, reduces joint strain, and it helps to regulate your hormones, right? Because when you're overweight or obese, that extra fat tissue actually disrupts your hormones and causes low grade inflammation, something that a lot of people are not even aware of. Like, oh, I'm just an overweight runner, but not realizing that they're putting more risk at their joints and have like low grade systemic inflammation. So research also shows that runners who are leaner just run faster. I don't know why you needed research to prove this, obviously, but you could just take a look at all the elite runners. But anyhow, they looked at the research. For example, 10K elite runners, those who just even these people are, they actually compared people who are pretty lean to begin with. Those who are at 8% body fat versus 12% body fat. The 8% body fat was hitting the elite times, while the 12% body fat was hitting like good times. And let me tell you, these 10K times were pretty fast in both categories. Anyhow, just losing 5 to 10% of your body weight can dramatically improve your pace and your endurance. Next, you want to know your baseline. So many people don't know their baseline fitness when it comes to running. So to train smart, you need to know where you're starting from. So if you're going from a 315, right? It's 315, that means 3 hours and 15 minutes on a half marathon. You're trying to get to a sub 2 half marathon. Likely that's going to take a year. But if you're already at like a 215, right? 2 hours and 15 minutes, you could shave off 15 minutes in a 4 month training block. That's more realistic than trying to shave a full hour and a half or hour 15, right? You need to be realistic with where you're at and give yourself enough time, right? You're not trying to cram, shaving up a whole hour off in just 4 months. And you also need to know what's actually limiting your fitness. So endurance, or running a half marathon, you could break it into different types of speed. Top end speed, you test out with a 100-meter sprint. VO2 max, you test out with a 1.5 mile or 2 mile time trial. A lactate threshold, test out with like a 20 or 30-minute tempo run, usually like a 5K. And endurance, how much does your pace drop at the distance of about like a 10K compared to the 5K, right? You're going to see how does your pace drop off. All right. And then usually this is done like over an hour, right? And this is endurance, aerobic endurance was important for running a half marathon. So next to you, when you actually train, what type of workouts should you do to run faster? Speed workouts, right? Think about track intervals. Speed workouts improve your coordination and make race pace feel easier. You could start with short speed workouts, right? 400 meters, so quarter mile repeats, half mile repeats, right? You could start do them at the 5K or 10K pace. That means a little faster than half marathon race pace. And you can either walk or jog in between these repeats. As you get fitter, though, you may want to do longer repeats, like mile repeats, for example, 4 by 1 mile repeats. And then you want to do this at faster than half marathon pace. So let's say goal pace for the half marathon is the 9:09. So you do your repeats at like a 8:30 or 8:45 minute per mile pace. Another type of workout you want to do is threshold or tempo runs. For example, tempo running is going to help build up your lactate threshold, helping you run faster for longer. For example, try a 1 mile warm up, and then 3 to 5 miles at that tempo pace. So, for example, like a 8:45 or even the 9 minute pace. Sustain that for a good 5 miles or 6 miles, etc. And then do a cool down. A tempo run at least once per week is ideal. You can mix in a fartlek, so you can do the tempo paces with slower paces in between. So you might do 10 minutes at that zone 3 or threshold, and then zone 1 and 2, and you can mix it up. It's good for boosting aerobic flexibility and just makes it fun, makes running more fun. Another type of workout you should be doing for training for a half marathon is a long run, right? It's going to build up your aerobic base, aerobic fitness. So aerobic base is your engine. You need to teach your body to go the distance. You're going to build up from, maybe you start at like a 6 mile long run in the very beginning, but then you start going up to like 8 mile, 10 mile, then 12 miles. So you want to include fast finish long runs where the last 2 to 3 miles is at goal pace. It's going to help you improve your pacing, your speed. And you want to keep your heart rate above 60% of max. That'll be about zone 2 or so. For most of the long runs, usually at zone 2. But then again, you'll have certain segments where they're a little faster at that zone 3, zone 4. And why long runs matter? They're long, slow runs. They deplete your glycogen. They trigger interleukin-6 signaling, which is fancy biochemical word for making you more fatigue resistant, right? You could sustain endurance performance longer. Your body gets used to build up fatigue. It processes waste products better, lactate processing as well. Strength training is also very important. A lot of people think running is just a sport about running, but you also need stronger legs, right? Running is an impact sport. Put 2 to 3 times body weight through your leg. Strength training also prevents injuries and just makes you faster, improves your running economy. So key movements, compound lifts, think squats, split squats, the Bulgarian split squat, RDLs, Romanian deadlift, glute bridges, core and hip work. Do a full body strength routine because you also want to train your upper body as well. Core and legs, of course. 2 times a week is enough. Full body, single set to fatigue, 8 to 12 repetition max. Focus on progressive overload, single sets to failure, right? You don't have to spend so many hours in the gym. Next, nutrition and fueling, very important. So many runners think, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And this is guilty of, a lot of beginner runners, overweight runners, like, oh, I know what to eat. But then when you actually look at their nutrition, they're just eating junk food, right? Training is only half the battle. What you put in, how you fuel your body is the other half. You want to make sure you're getting enough nutrients, right? Yes, carbs are important, but sometimes eating junk carbs is not going to do you any service, right? Unless you're very lean, right? And you're just doing it for like fueling for a long run, eating a bunch of honey buns and Oreos and cookies on, non-running, like you're just doing it just for throughout the whole day, just eating junk food throughout the day is not going to serve you. It's going to add to dead weight, leading you to being overweight. So carb goals, right? Again, you want to be at a lean weight, healthy weight. Carbs, 3 to 4 grams per pound of body weight. Protein, 0.65 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And healthy fats, 0.5 gram per pound of body weight. And then fluid, drink 3 to 4 liters of water per day. You could add some electrolytes in there or do coconut water. So potassium, magnesium, sodium, electrolytes, right? And if you want to do it, you do yourself. A pinch of sea salt to water will give you electrolytes. The most electrolyte that people tend to lose is sodium or salt. During long runs and races, so when you run that's over an hour, it's considered a long run, technically a 10K. So 30, 60 grams of carbs per hour. Don't take it all at once, right? Spread it out. For example, every 15 to 20 minutes, you're sipping or chewing or, slurping the gel, and then, or the snack or the food that you brought. 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium per hour, and then 16 to 24 ounces of fluid per hour, right? So you're properly hydrating. And then throughout the day, right, your normal meals, make sure you're eating the rainbow fruits and vegetables. So many people don't eat enough fruits and veggies, right? It's wild. But you want to make sure you get enough fruits and veggies. Eat 1 to 2 fists of veggies per meal and try to have a different rainbow or color, right? Red, orange, yellow, blue, different types of colored vegetables. It's going to help improve the micronutrient profile. And that means you're going to get more vitamins and minerals. And a lot of times, a lot of runners or athletes are low on vitamin D, magnesium, calcium, zinc. So by eating the fruits and the rainbow, fruits and veggies, it's going to make sure you get that mineral content. And if you're very deficient, you may have to supplement, right? If you're deficient in vitamin D, you may have to supplement. Next, the 4 phases of training. So, for when it comes to half marathon training, you break it up into phases. I typically recommend at least a 16-week training block. Now, if you're overweight or obese, you may actually have 6 months where you just work on getting to a leaner weight, or a whole year if you need to make a big transformation. But then you transition once you're to a healthy weight to that 16-week training plan. So for what does that look like? You break it down into 4 phases, usually about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks long. There's some exceptions. We'll talk about that. Base phase, the first 4 weeks, easy miles. You may do some strides or hills. So strides are just little short sprints at the end of the easy run, and then strength training twice a week. And then you run about 3 to 5 times a week, right, during the base phase. Build phase, now you start running maybe 4 or 5 or 6 times a week. This is weeks 5 through 9, and then your long runs get a little longer. Maybe you started at 6 miles, and now you're going to like 8 miles or 10 miles. You're building up the miles. So your weekly mileage may be like 15, 20 miles. Then we go peak phase. This is where your max mileage during the week. It may go up to like 30 or 40 miles during the week. Maybe you're running 5 or 6 days a week. You're doing 3 to 4 easy runs, zone 2. You're doing like 2 to 3 speed workouts. And you're also still doing your strength training sessions. And then for your speed workouts, maybe you're doing more moderate intensity, threshold work, a lot more tempo runs. And then we go to taper phase. We cut down volume 60%, then 40% is the last 2 weeks, weeks 14, 16. You keep the intensity, but you want to still prioritize good fueling, carbs, rest, protein, healthy fats, and race preparation, right? The mental strategies, making sure that, hey, you're good pacing and that you're on track to hit that sub-2 half marathon goal. And remember, for half marathons, it's going to be more zone 3 for your speed workouts and more tempo runs, building up your lactate threshold. That's going to be more beneficial than just doing the shorter, like 200 meter, repeat 400 meter, high intensity speed interval workouts. You can still do those workouts, but you're going to actually do a little bit more zone 3 than zone 4 and 5 for the half marathon. So, running a sub-2 half-hour marathon takes more than just doing random miles. You need a complete system, especially if you're overweight, you're not in a healthy weight, you want to get to a healthy weight. Body composition matters. Even if you're already lean, you might want to get a little leaner. Aerobic base, strength, speed, fueling, and periodization is going to be a good comprehensive plan for you. So and if you're feeling stuck and you need more help, I put together a free training that shows my athletic runner method to show you how to get faster without injury, without getting hurt. So grab the link. I'm going to put it in the description. And further, drop your half marathon time. If you'll need help with a half marathon, drop your current half marathon time in the comments. I'd love to help. And if this video helps, hit like and subscribe.